6 человек, 6 Луганской области. Ерунда. Це буде Україна.
Welcome back to the Geopolitical Hub. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, where we're going over the Russian invasion on Ukraine. There have been some developments that have happened as of late over the past 24 hours. Pretty interesting stuff, pretty important stuff. But just to start, I knew we were speaking of the EU actually having discussions with Belarus about providing a route for Ukrainian grain to be passed through their borders and able to get up into the Baltic Sea. As you can see here, Belarus is landlocked, but it does provide access to Lithuania, Latvia, as well as Estonia. I'm pretty sure Ukraine is using Poland right now to go through their ports, as well as I believe just a few weeks ago they might have struck a deal to maybe be able to possibly be able to maneuver through here and possibly get their grain out over on this side, possibly. But for the most part, that blockade that Russia's put up, basically they put up a blockade of, I believe it's 30 submarines and ships, and they also have 15 landing ships down in the Black Sea as well. But Zelensky has actually refused to transport his grain through Belarus. I could have probably guessed that. He basically believes that, now Belarus is trying to play good guy. But, they're on that side. They essentially allowed Russia, allowed Russia to, rolled out a red carpet for them to go into Kiev from the north. So, that relationship is very much so strained, but wondering why they will be going away from the policies of Moscow, because it seems as if Moscow is really trying to weaponize hunger. They've been blowing up terminals. They blew up an export terminal just recently over in Mykolaiv, just north of Kherson. They're blowing up grain storages all over the country. So it seems as if that's their main goal, is to kind of weaponize that and put pressure on the international community to have Ukraine give in. But Zelensky refused that. He stated that he's not going to go into talks with Belarus regarding grain. There's also some reports that Turkey has an actual meeting with Russia on the 8th of June regarding the exports of Ukrainian grain that Russia's stealing. And of course, the ambassador to Turkey from Ukraine, and just in the past few days, actually accused Turkey of purchasing Ukrainian grain from Russia. So that's a little underhanded there, but I'm pretty sure new developments will come out within the next 24 to 48 hours regarding that situation. There are reports in Transnistria, which we know is the separatist region of Moldova over to the west of Ukraine. What they state is there are peacekeeping barracks or peacekeeping quarters, a peacekeeping base where there's peacekeeping troops here in this village or city of Vladimirovka. They're stating that a drone dropped 2 grenades on that peacekeeping base. So we all know that Russia's been trying to do some false flag operations over in Transnistria prior, but were earlier on in the invasion. Not quite sure if this is the same thing here. Possibly is. There are roughly 1,000 Russian troops that really aren't much of a threat that are in Transnistria. So, like I said, I'm going to keep an eye on this area and watch for developments over the next couple of days and see what happens here. For the last 27 days, and this is interesting, over the last 27 days, the border guards, the Ukrainian border guards, have reported that more people have actually returned to Ukraine than actually left Ukraine on 27 straight days, 27 consecutive days. So, I mean, that could mean a lot of things, but all depending on how many of those individuals returning are military age males that possibly, change their minds about, fighting for their country. That could make a big difference on, manpower. Right now, I believe there's roughly 700,000 Ukrainian troops, 700,000 individuals that are part of the Ukrainian armed forces altogether, part of the fighting force. So, that with it being a war of attrition, a numbers game is a very important game. Also, English has been able to it's able to receive status of business communication in the country of Ukraine, and this is big just from not just from an economic standpoint, but if you can just kind of understand what that really means. It basically means that English is one of the not superior languages, but English is one of the primary languages used there in Ukraine, so in the business world. So that's a huge development, seeing that certain businesses, they look at that in the businesses in the Western world on how much business is handled in English, because it basically states that that's the ease of business, the ease of doing business, that adds to the ease of doing business, just having that as one of the official English languages. They'll start to implement that more into their universities. Individuals graduating there might make it some type of prerequisite or requirement to know English, just so they'll gel more with the West, gel more with the European Union. That'll definitely help them along in that process there. Looking at our map here, just getting into things that are happening on the ground. Not much happen well not anything happening on the ground here in Kiev, but they have formed a 3rd battalion of Azov. As we know, the Azov down in the Mariupol steel plant is basically one of those kind of units, an Azov unit. Their 3rd battalion was actually just created in Kiev. That 3rd battalion will be going down to the east very soon. They just been commissioned, or I guess you can call it commissioned, but they just been formed. They formed that group in the last I would say last 48 hours. And over in Kharkiv, actually about a week ago, they formed their first Azov battalion here. So Azov battalions are becoming pretty popular in the Ukrainian armed forces. But looking over here at Kharkiv, it's basically the same things are going on. Nothing much, not much difference. Of course, we know Terra Nova, they're back and forth in Terra Nova still. There has been some reports that they are fighting over this particular village here. And also up to the north, this is they've tried to take over Kozakalapan a few weeks ago. It was unsuccessful, and they're attacking here in Supka. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but they are reportedly attacking here. So that's probably one of the most northern attacks that I've seen since they tried to attack Kozakalapan. So we'll keep an eye on things here to see if there's been any progress that might be possibly happening. Of course, we know about Vovachance, the supply route down from Belgorod running through Vovachance. Over here, there have been some recent progressions here on the bridge here at Kupiansk was blown up, but just to the south, they say they've seen some imaging that they possibly have either repaired a bridge here, or they are doing have a pontoon bridge possibly established here. That is very important, seeing that they're kind of having a push come down into Izium and come down to the south here. So I believe that's mainly for a transfer of troops. It'll allow for a faster transfer of troops, because we know that there is a huge buildup from Izium over to Popasna down in this region here. But just from this region, there are between 35 and 40,000 troops between that assault area from Izium down to Popasna. So just moving forward here, just looking down into that particular area and what they're trying to get to is this city here, Sviatohurst. This is a city where it's basically between the Severodonetsk, Seversky Donetsk River, and also this huge forest here. As we know, they are kind of creeping down into the city. Russian troops are creeping down into the city. They have established themselves heavily in the northeast and eastern sections of that particular city, and of course, there's fighting all over that city right now. Where they're also assaulting is Dolfinki, and also this village here, Dubrovny. They're pushing along here just so they can gain access to this road. If they're able to get access to this road, then that'll allow them to be able to bombard here. They'll be able to basically control supply possibly coming in through this direction out of Sloviansk, and they'll also be it'll give them an ability to assault down into Sloviansk and possibly put that city under a siege possibly. And as you can see, that is a very intricate supply route, as we talked about before with BAKHMUT. And if this route here possibly fell, then they would have to go over to this route here. But moving back into this area, Lyman. It's been reported that Lyman has roughly about 10 artillery batteries that are active at all times in that area. 10 artillery batteries. What an artillery battery is basically essentially roughly about 15 artillery pieces, whether it be howitzers or whether it be MRLSs, which are MLRSs, which are multi-launch rocket systems, and roughly between each battery is 100 to 200 soldiers. So that's 15 artillery pieces and 100 to 200 soldiers. If you look at artillery pieces, that's at least 150 artillery pieces, since there's 10 batteries. 10 batteries, roughly 15 artillery pieces per battery. So that's roughly about 150 artillery pieces and thousands of troops in this area that are, basically just raining down. They're, of course, trying to cross the Seversky Donetsk River here. Of course, they're having issues with that because they've been having issues with pontoons. Of course, we know about the infamous crossing over here just north of Seversk over to the north on the Seversky Donetsk River, where at Bilohorivka, and also Severodonetsk. That's where they tried to cross these two areas, and they lost roughly about 400 soldiers. 400 soldiers and a lot of military equipment, tanks, and also other armored personnel carriers and infantry vehicles. Just talking about the Seversky Donetsk, that is one of the huge developments around in this area is the Severodonetsk. They actually went on an offensive a few days ago, where they actually pushed out. They were able to lure the soldiers in, and what happened is they bailed out to Lysychansk, which is a high ground. It's about roughly 100 meters higher than Severodonetsk, and you can see the landscape from Lysychansk. So they put artillery units here, and they rained down on the Russian troops. What Russian troops did within about roughly 12 to 24 hours of that serious counteroffensive by Ukrainian soldiers, what happened was they brought in conscripts from the LNR and also the DNR. They basically yanked their regular troops or any type of special troops because they were taking heavy casualties in, the city to city fighting. Well, not city to city, but street to street fighting. So they, basically, we all know conscripts. They're basically under Russian military doctrine. Conscripts are, cannon fodder. They're essentially expendable. So they did push. They were able, with the mass sheer numbers of reserves, they were able to push the Ukrainians back into that industrial western portion of Severodonetsk. But I've also heard that, Ukrainians were pushing back, so I'm not quite sure where the lines are. I'm pretty sure when we do our update video, our next update video, the lines would have changed. I have heard that Russians were pushed out of this city here. They also were pushed out of Voronov, and also I've actually heard reports of fighting Russians actually attacking out here. So I'm not sure about that. That's pretty far out to the east. But like I said, there should be some developments here within the next 24 hours that, of course, we'll discuss on our next go around. Just going down here to the south, and the VDV rates. They say the VDV rates, they're severely depleted at this point. They say that the VDV, or the Russian airborne units, are at about 60% attrition at this point. So that's pretty serious. So they kind of want to save their forces. So now they're just pushing conscripts at this point to try to get the job done and try to save their more valuable military assets for other pushes in the future. Just moving down here, of course, as we went over previously, that this here road leading from BAKHMUT going through Soledar, which the Russians are kind of pressing in this direction at this point in time. They have been given the Russian General Dvornikov. He's actually received orders that they need to take this supply route by June 10th. Of course, this supply route feeds Lysychansk and Severodonetsk and anything over here in the east. But they have been given orders to take this by June 10th. Of course, this is where just recently, in the past couple of days, Russia lost one of its generals up towards Popasna, up towards the front lines. We've actually seen there had been some fighting here. I actually believe that Russia has actually taken over these two cities here, Lipov and Nirkov, and they're actually I've heard reports that they're actually doing sabotage missions with Russian special forces down towards the route. They're trying to sabotage Ukrainian positions. I haven't had any clarification on what that actually means. I know they're firing artillery rounds down on the route, so the navigation of that route, with all the craters in it, I'm not sure how good that route is still is. I'm not sure if that's the sabotage, but they clearly stated Russian special forces, so I'm guessing that they're going on night missions and somehow sabotaging this area down in Bilohorvika and Berestov. So and also there's actually some troops that were actually replenished up in this area too. There reports that there heavy casualties of Russians. I know in our last video we went over where they resupplied this area with roughly about 20 pieces of equipment, just based off of what was going on in that area. They are losing equipment and men in that area. Moving over to the the ZP region and the Mariupol region. Down in Mariupol, of course, we know that's where they took, roughly 2,500 or maybe more of those Azov defenders down in the steel plant. They were holding Russian troops down here in the south for a while, not enabling them to go off to become incorporated into the offensive up in Donetsk area up to the north. But now in Mariupol, they're actually having cholera outbreaks with the conditions, as you guys know, the conditions that were down in the steel plant, individuals not having running water, not having, a place to where you can, use the bathroom. You're actually using bathroom in buckets or whatever the case may be, rats and so on and so forth. You can kind of understand how and why there is actually a cholera outbreak, and they're actually, on top of that, they're actually making the children go back to school. They actually took away. It's definitely not funny because those children have been through hell down there. But essentially, what they've done is they've basically taken away the summer vacation of the children down in Mariupol. There was some headlines where they're actually bringing in Russian books. So you can kind of think of this is probably going to be some type of re-education time where they're basically going to take Ukraine out of the schools, implement Russian thoughts, and how things go whenever there's an invasion force. Basically try to overrun another individual's culture. Essentially, over here, things are heating up in the ZP region, or the Zaporizhia region. As we know, we talked about before the Vasilivka, how we stated that there were 120 vehicles that were being pushed up in this area just to support this area. We did see in our last video, we did see where Ukrainian forces, they blew up a Russian base full of vehicles that was down in Polohi. Kind of seems as if maybe they were softening them up. As we know, there's artillery fire all along this line here, but this is the first time where I actually seen the footage of an actual push. There's an actual Azov unit down here where they're pushing down south, and they're actually tactically bounding and going through movement. So it looks like there's an assault at this point in time, going down into the ZP region. Down in Melitopol, there's actually signs down in Melitopol that this is occurring, that there is some type of push, because what has happened, the roadblocks down in Melitopol, what they stated is that the roadblocks are no more. So the roadblocks are no more at this point in time. They stated that basically all Russian troops that were manning those checkpoints or roadblocks, they've basically left. So what I think has happened is they've left because of the advances that have been happening up in the northeast region of the ZP region. But what we also know about the partisans, or the resistance, which that was the whole purpose of the roadblocks, to screen individuals, because Ukrainian partisans or Ukrainian citizens who, are resisting up against Russia, now that's going to let them go back into a free-for-all. So it's going to start getting pretty interesting pretty soon, because it seems like Russia is on the scramble trying to rotate troops. And I really think that the Severodonetsk push is really causing them imbalances in other regions. Of course, we talked about those previous imbalances that they had as far as being able to have coverage across all fronts. Over in the Kherson region, is things are heating up as well. I mean, there was an offensive, of course, over in this area, this Kherson region. There was an offensive over by Davidid. I believe it's called Davidid Beard right here. As we know, the Ukrainian forces, they built a bridge here. They pushed down into this area, and they also pushed down and took Kostromka, and they also pushed down, and this was confirmed within the last couple of days, that Suki Stavok has been taken as well. over down to Andrivka. So this pocket here has been taken by Ukrainian forces. We know all along this line, along the river, the Inhulets River. There's a push that they've been pushing. The Russians have kind of been pushing unsuccessfully from this area. The Ukrainians, of course, we know there's three-pronged attack where they're pushing in from here down in this area, and also in the last large city center in this oblast, Snihovika. They're actually pushing here, trying to take that route there because that's a major route in a major city. Also, moving down more towards Kherson over here, there were reports yesterday that Russian troops had actually retreated out of Blahodatny, which is roughly about 15 miles from Kherson. So that is a major development. There's been a bunch of fighting back and forth here, but I mean, I believe this is the closest that Ukraine has ever been to Kherson since the invasion, I believe. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what exactly happens over the next few days there. Down in the Odessa region, not much happening down in the Odessa region. As we said, there's a blockade down in the Black Sea, where there are between 30 warships and submarines that are conducting the blockade, as well as 15 landing ships that are kind of threatening Odessa possibly. Those ships, they stated that those ships have stayed about 100 kilometers out, but as we know, Ukraine has been supplied, and more notably, Odessa has been supplied with Harpoon anti-ship missiles. Those anti-ship missiles have a 180 kilometer range. So I mean, they're still within range of those anti-ship missiles. So like I said, there's a lot going on. Things are heating up significantly, and we'll definitely be have our eyes out as far as different progressions and different movements that are happening on the ground. We'll have another update within the next day, and we'll go over, of course, whatever happens in Severodonetsk, because things are really heating up there, and I think there's going to be somebody's going to have to give, because what they're saying is positions there in Severodonetsk are very hard to keep on the Russian side, based on most of the buildings already being destroyed. So it's kind of leaving them out in the open. So their ability to hold their ground there is going to be tested. So yeah, like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow up here over the next 24 hours. We'll have another update for you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, leave your feedback down in the comment section, good, bad, and ugly, and we'll really appreciate you being here at the Geopolitical Hub. We'll see you next time, and have a good one.